Alright, so if you've been following my YouTube channel, you know just a few days ago I picked up a brand new ball python and I put him in quarantine. He's been there for 3 days, and today I opened up the tub and I was looking at him, kind of handling him, socializing him a little bit, and to me it looked like it could possibly have a couple mites on the top of the snake, and they look like tiny little specks, and if you try to rub them off, it actually won't rub off. And I'm going to show you what those look like, so you know, if you're not used to mites, if you're not used to looking for them, it'll probably surprise you how small and insignificant it looks. It's not really what you would expect to look for when you're looking for mites on your snake. Essentially, they dig into the scales and they become part of the pattern of the ball python. You really can't tell that it's actually a mite. And there's actually a way to get them out from between the scales, and you can use a reptile spray that I can't remember the name of it. It's called reptile spray. I'll have to pull it out and I'll bring it up, and we'll wipe a little bit on that snake, and usually within a half an hour those mites will actually come out and start crawling around. And let me tell you, if I actually have mites on that snake, we have a bigger problem. At that point, what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to change all the substrate, probably get rid of the coconut husk and go with a paper substrate, and then go in and spray it down at least once a day and make sure everything's sprayed down, because essentially what you're doing is you're trying to kill the eggs of the mite. They have a really short life cycle. They can reproduce like crazy. It's pretty amazing how fast a mite infestation can take off. So today what I'm going to do is we're going to take a look at that snake, and I don't know what Bobby's doing here. He's like ready to fall off my shoulder. This is Bobby, my mascot here, and let me tell you, if I go back and forth between my quarantine area and here, I definitely want to make sure I wash my hands really good and stay away from anything that can cross-contaminate. If I have like a huge mite problem up in my quarantine area, essentially what I would do is I would change my clothes, take a shower before I actually come into this reptile room, because let me tell you, I definitely don't want mites in this room here. I probably have almost 100 snakes down here now. So let's go up and check out that snake and see if it is really a mite. All right, so I'm up here in my quarantine area. This is my ARS 7010 rack. It's just one level right now. And this is my new snake. Take a look at this beauty. This is my banana inchy clown male. Look at how beautiful that guy is. So stunning. And let me tell you, I'll show you what the mites look like. What you really want to do before you determine if you have mites, you really just kind of want to rub off all the substrate, anything, all the dirt or anything on him. Make sure he's completely clean. And then if he has little specks that won't rub off, those could potentially be mites. And there's two little specks. Let me show you these. One of them is right here. If you can see that tiny, tiny little black spot, you almost can't even see it. But if I try to rub it off, it's not coming off. So that could potentially be a mite. And then I have another one right here. If you look at this spot right here, that could potentially be a mite too. So essentially what happens is, if the mites get really bad, your snake starts getting covered with little black specks all over the place. And then when the mites pull out and go into another spot, they leave a little red sore behind where they actually pulled out. So eventually what will happen is your snake will be covered with little black specks with more mites as your mites kind of, they pretty much expand exponentially, and then you'll have all these little red sores, little tiny red specks all over your snake. And that's kind of what it looks like. And it seems like when you have mites, it's pretty rare that you'll actually see a mite crawling around on the snake. What I'm going to do is I actually have this stuff. I actually had a really bad mite infestation. I was buying this by the gallon, this reptile spray, and that's what I'm going to use. I'm going to put it on a little paper towel, and I'm just going to rub it just a little bit on those two little specks and see if they'll come out. And I'll probably rub it on, I'll wait about half an hour and see if it comes out. Some people actually use this Prevenamite, and what they'll do is they'll remove the water, remove the snake, and they'll spray it down on the substrate. And then they'll put the snake back in the water and some fresh water. But the thing is, I've heard a lot of people have problems with this. If you spray this directly on your snake, it can kill your snake. It's pretty potent. And as a matter of fact, I had a snake that was really bad. I was using this reptile spray and I wiped it on the snake 3 days in a row, and that snake was almost unresponsive. I thought I was going to lose that snake. So it's going away in the back. So what I'm going to do is I am going to use a little bit of this reptile spray, and it's kind of like, I don't know if you can see in there, it's kind of like I guess it's like blue, like a blue soapy solution. And what I'm going to do is, if I can get this guy out, I am just going to gently, I don't want to rub it on the whole snake, I just want to see if these two spots, this one right here, and then this one over here, I'm just going to rub it on those two little spots. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to hold the snake for maybe about 30 minutes and see if those actually come out. And if they come out and start crawling around, we have a problem because we have mites. Otherwise, it may be, I'm thinking it may be just a pattern in the banana, because sometimes the bananas have spots and it might just be throwing me off. But this guy has got really interesting head stamp. He's a really good looking snake. So I'm gonna check this out for about 30 minutes. All right, so I've had this guy for 30 minutes with the reptile spray on these two little spots, and it looks like if these are mites, they are not coming out. That one right there, and then this one right here. And I'm thinking maybe it's not mites, maybe I'm just kind of overly cautious, but it's always best to kind of really watch your snakes in quarantine. You definitely don't want them to get too far along, and then all of a sudden, you know, 3 weeks down the road, you realize that they're completely covered with mites. That is not where you want to be, because at that point, they are super infectious and they're all over the house. And keep in mind, mites can crawl all the way across the room. As a matter of fact, they can crawl out of the room and under the door into the next room. So you really have to be careful if you're dealing with mites. And it seemed like when I had mites the last time, the thing that really helped me the most was to actually start vacuuming the carpet and wiping everything down every single day, as well as wiping all the tubs. So essentially what I do is I take all the substrate out and I put paper towels down, and then actually before I put the paper towels down, I put that reptile spray in a spray bottle, and I spray the whole tub and the rack and everything, let it soak for a little bit, and then wipe it down every single day. And the funny thing is when I had paper towels in here with mites, I'd have the paper towels on the bottom and the snake would crawl on top of the paper towel, and when I lift up the paper towel, it was an infestation underneath of a whole bunch of mites. So you open up the tub and it looks pretty clean, not many mites, and then you look under the paper towel and they're just everywhere. And I'm pretty sure that, you know, if you see an adult mite, you're also seeing the eggs. The eggs are like microscopic, you can't even see them. So what you really want to do with that reptile spray is spray everything down just to kill the eggs, so the eggs don't hatch. And what they actually start out super microscopic, you can't even see them when they hatch, and then they get bigger and bigger, and the adults pretty much look like the spots we were looking at. So I'm going to keep this guy up here in quarantine. I'm thinking maybe now that I've seen a couple little spots, I might actually go with maybe 4 or 5 weeks instead of just 3 weeks, just to make sure that there's no mites up here. So I'm not going to end this with Bobby down in the reptile room, because I'm kind of freaked out about actually bringing mites down there. I'm going to actually change my clothes and wash up. Maybe I may not even go down there until tomorrow, because you definitely want to quarantine completely separate from your other snakes. So that is pretty much it. And this guy is kind of hiding back here. I thought I'd give you one more quick look at this snake right at the end of the video. He's so beautiful. He's probably, I'd say he's one of my most beautiful snakes, at least in the top 5 most beautiful in my collection. So thanks for watching. Hopefully you learned something about mites and quarantine, and I will see you in the next video.
Look at these crazy dogs. Take a look at this. Watch this. Look. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh, you like that straw. You like that straw. Oh my goodness. Look. Look at that. Going crazy over that straw. Look. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Woo. Look at that crazy dog. Look at that crazy dog. Oh boy, look at that crazy dog. Woo. Wow. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.